Nieto talking Miami sports number 76, presented by Balado Tires. Two locations here in Miami to serve you better if you're looking for tires. Balado is the place. And number 76, we are, by the way, everywhere: Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. If you want to know what's going on with Miami sports, you have to listen, you have to view our podcast, Abuelo and the Nieto. Here, the Abuelo, of course, over there, the Nieto. And number 76, Tyler, right?
75. Or you're right,
No, 76, 76.
76.
I made a mistake in the rundown.
That's
It's
right.
76, Tyler.
That makes me feel a little better because I was like, I didn't think this guy wore this number, but regardless, this is a Hall of Famer, a legend. He's better known for the number that he wore in the NFL, but he wore number 76 at Miami. Who are we talking about?
Yes, we're talking about Warren Sapp, Tyler, from 91 to 94 with the Canes. He won all the awards, including the Lombardi Trophy. He was college football champion with the Canes and a Hall of Famer. Played 9 seasons with Tampa Bay, and he was number 99 with the Buccaneers. Tremendous player, Warren Sapp, one of the best defensive linemen ever, in the NFL, and also, of course, with the Canes that have had a lot of very good defensive linemen, in particular in those, 80s and also 90s. So that's the way we start with Warren Sapp.
Yeah, and just kind of getting right into it. Mentioned how the Miami Heat just didn't make any moves at the deadline. Looking at the same roster that we had a few weeks ago, but Tyler Herro is back. Seems to be healthy, and I'd say that's encouraging despite them not making a move. And just kind of wondering what you're thinking, looking forward for the second half of the season now that the All-Star break's over.
Well, it's not going to be easy, Tyler. They have a tough schedule. They have Toronto for a couple of games there at the end of the season. They have the Lakers. They have also the Celtics. So Detroit. So it's not going to be easy at the end of the season. Those last 26. They're number 8 right now. 2 games above 500. So I think that having Hero back is important because this is a guy that can average maybe 22, 24 points per game. And they need the scoring because they are like number 22nd in the league now in scoring. Their numbers have gone down quite a bit. They're averaging 112.6 points per game. So they have to get better offensively, still play good defense, and they're playing good defense. A good move getting Gardner, from a two-way contract to a permanent contract. It's a guy is 6'5", he's played well. He's done something offensively, and he's played with a lot of energy and very good defense. I think that another positive is Yakusionis, the number 1 pick for them. He started slow in the G League, but he's playing a lot better. And I'm really surprised the way that he's been able to distribute and not that make too many mistakes. That's the problem that he had even in college. So not a lot of turnovers, and he's actually helped them a little bit offensively and defensively. I'm surprised with the job that he's done. So that gives them another guy that they can count on. The negative is Jovic. Jovic has disappeared, and especially from 3 points land, he's not effective at all. And this is a guy that is going to pay him a lot of money next season, uh, close to $16 million, I believe. So that is disappointing. Hopefully he can get it going because he got the size. Sometimes he doesn't play like he's a 6'10" guy. Instead of dunking the ball when he's about to get to the basket, he tries to do a layup and they block the shot from behind, for example. So those are little details that he has to improve. But having Hero back, I think, is important with the team. And the thing is, he's missed so many games, Tyler. We're talking 45 games. So the question is also, how is he going to play with Powell? How is he going to play with Adebayo? That has to happen quickly. They have to make that adjustment. But if he's a factor, and I believe he can be, maybe they can be a number 7, a number 6. But I don't expect more than that. And then you go into the playoffs, you're going to be playing a pretty tough team in the first round. So, you know, right now there's sort of an average team, maybe just a little bit above average. That's what we have.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you look at that top half of the Eastern Conference, whoever it is that they'd have to face in the playoffs, whether it's Detroit, Boston, New York, Cleveland, even Toronto, if they end up getting the sixth seed, which they probably wouldn't. I just think that, yeah, like you said, at this point, this is kind of a year where you evaluate what the pieces you move forward with are, but expectation wise, the hot start was encouraging, but it's kind of clear that there's a clear gap between them and the top half of the teams in the conference.
Yeah, and it looks like they have the pieces, Tyler, in the offseason. If there is a move for Giannis, they seem to be one of the players. There's maybe three teams, and the three or four teams that have a good shot, and they're one of the teams. So that is a possibility, which is very encouraging. But it also depends on how much they have to give up, because they're going to have to give up quite a bit. Tyler, Balado Tires, two locations in Miami, 63 years established here in the market, 27th Avenue Northwest and 16th Street, Southwest 8th Street and 67th Avenue. They have great service. They have all the top brands. They're very competitive with their prices. And this is a family business headed by Orlando Hidalgo Sr. At this time, Balado was the one that started the business, and very successful business in South Florida. If you're looking for tires, Balado Tires is the place.
Yeah, talking about the Miami Dolphins, another team that's further down in the rebuilding process, but also rebuilding. We're talking about sort of that approach that they're taking. We see the first example of them cutting Tyreek Hill, who over the past few years was not just the best player on this team, but probably the best player they've had in decades. And they're deciding not to move forward with him. Obviously, a big contract there, and I'm sure we'll see some more moves throughout the offseason. People they decide to part ways with, and I personally think it's a good move. I think, regardless of what he's bringing back, he has a reputation of being lackadaisical, of not being the best teammate, of not necessarily being somebody that shows up on time. Uh, really gives the best example to his teammates, and I think regardless of what they bring as a player, by retaining somebody like that, that character permeates throughout the entire team, and we saw that happen. This was just one of the softest teams, one of the most penalized teams, undisciplined teams, and the talent was there. It's undisputable on both sides of the ball. You can point at players with Pro Bowl potential everywhere, but that doesn't change the fact that this team has been a mess, over the past few years. And I think, unfortunately, as good as he is, players like that contribute to it. I mean, maybe at a place like Kansas City, where 95% of the players are positive leaders, you can have a guy like Hill and no one pays attention. But in Miami, everyone's looking at Hill to be the leader, and he was not. And I think we saw that team crumble because of that leadership.
Yeah, and this is a thing that I think is changing their personality, Tyler. They're going to be a physical team, and they're going to build from inside out. And they want people reliable. They want people that have discipline, and they don't want distractions. And then he'll gives you a lot of that, a lot of those negatives. And they want bigger size, I believe, a receiver, guys that can help with the blocking, and just a different type of player. I think that they'll be looking for. And we talked about rebuilding through Sullivan, the GM, and then Hartley, the coach. I think that it's gonna take some time, Tyler, because he had some statements, the GM Sullivan recently, where he said, "I have 8 picks and I have the number 11 in the first round. I have to try to get that to maybe 11 or 12." In other words, he's going to try to trade and try to get additional picks, because he knows that he's going to have a lot of holes. He's got to get rid of some other players. We're talking Sanders, the kicker. We're talking Austin Jackson, the tackle, maybe one of the linebackers, the starter. So then there's what's the situation with the corners, Jack Jones. He's a free agent. Douglas is a free agent. So the situation is complicated because they're only $3 million under the cap right now. So the math just doesn't add up. If you want to bring at least two or three free agents, they're not going to bring in much. And you want a free agent quarterback. Willis is asking for what, $20 million per year. So it gets complicated. So I think that there's going to be some more moves, and we have to think of maybe 2027 for this team to be at a higher level. To ask for any major improvement in 2026, it will be sort of dreaming,
Yeah,
right?
I agree. I think it'll be one of those years where maybe a few rookies come by and you can get excited by them, and oh, maybe in a few years this guy will really help this team be successful. But at this point, yeah, I have zero expectations for this coming season. It's unfortunate because you have players like, for example, Achan, who's a running back, and we know how short the windows of these careers are. And if I have any guess, they're just going to run him to the ground next year. He's going to be the best player on the team, and that's going to cause some wear and tear. So obviously, while the rebuild word sounds pretty, you're also wasting the prime of some of your best players, which is something you got to think about. Do you trade him? That's a whole different conversation. That wasn't in the rundown, but in the sense of if you're not going to be good right away, and you have players who may be reaching the end of their prime, or an injury's coming soon, or that's coming up, do you move them and kind of build for the future? But yeah, I think cornerback's a position that needs to be addressed moving forward. It's very obvious that offensive line needs to be strengthened, and I mean, pointing out areas of this team that needs to be improved is you can close your eyes and pick something. It all needs to be fixed. So I'm excited to see what happens. I think it was clear that change needed to be made. So we'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah, and we haven't mentioned the most important guy.
Yeah,
Tua.
yeah,
That's the key guy. That's like when you're picking a softball team, and there's this short guy, slow, that he cannot hit and everything. And he knows he's going to be picked last, right? So they have this guy now, which is Tua. Like, like keep on, nobody wants him, not because he cannot provide something athletically. It's just that it's a contract that he's got. You have this load right on, in your back, and you're carrying him, and it's really difficult, and it's really their own making. They make this from themselves, this situation. So $54 million, Tyler. Who's going to touch that for maybe a second string quarterback? Most likely. So it gets complicated. So that is the worst situation, is that one. They have other things to worry about, but that is the worst situation. What happens with that? And that's going to be very interesting. And I say this also to look good, for us to look good in October or November. If they hit on everything, almost everything that they do, they might step out. they might get better, right? But you have to also be good at everything that you do, and be a little lucky, right? At least you have to be a little lucky. Uh, you have the Denvers and the New Englands, what they did, but they had some, they had already they had the quarterback there already, and they had some things that were important, and they were able to make the jump quicker.
yeah. But that should be encouraging to Dolphins fans, at least, to show you that while the rebuild might not be immediate, it's something that can happen in 2 years, 3 years.
Oh
It,
yeah,
it, it
definitely
does.
in 2 years it can happen.
It's
Definitely.
it's not the old school way of the quarterback sits and you wait, and 6 years later your team's good. As we saw during these playoffs, the Seahawks just got their quarterback this year, and we saw how that turned out for them after Geno Smith didn't perform well for them the year before. So it's possible, and it's obviously not something to rule out. I think football is the sport with the most level of talent across the board, the NFL at least. So you never know. You always got to tune into the games and got to keep up with the team. Another team, the local team we'll talk about is the Marlins. obviously P's and C's showing up, pitchers and catchers. Starting the season with the lowest payroll in baseball.
Yeah.
Also in the same, you know, division as the Mets, who have, I believe, the first or second highest payroll in baseball.
Number two,
Yeah,
and don't forget the
the
Braves and
Dodgers.
Phillies.
Yeah,
The Braves are the worst out of those three, and they're number eight in MLB, and the Phillies right up there. So,
yeah,
I think that Braves are $246 million, Tyler, just the Braves, and then you're spending 78. It gets complicated. The thing that we have to, the positive thing here is that they do have a lot of good young players. They had good young players that performed last season. But like we said last week, the thing is, can they do it in their sophomore year? Because you know that sophomore year, the pitchers already know a lot of the hitters and they make adjustments. So you have to make adjustments to what the adjustments the pitchers are making, and it gets complicated. Also, injuries, you don't have that much depth. So you have to avoid major injuries, especially in the pitching, where it's going to be the strength, I believe, of their team, starting with Alcantara and Eury Perez. And you have also the situation. You have a team like that. It's always rebuilding. You have the question with Alcantara. You're not doing well in late May, in June. There's a 90% chance that Alcantara is going to be traded. So then you're a different team right there, and then you lose your number one pitcher. So, but they have good young players, and if they perform at the kind of level that they played last year, they'll have a shot. They'll have a shot at a wild card. I would not think that they could win the division because I mean the competition is going to be very tough because those things the only thing they do is spend money and get better, and the Marlins that they don't do that. So Marcy, Stowers, Ramirez, Lopez at shortstop. Uh, you know when you look at the lineup, they don't really have any holes except for first baseman. You have Morel, they brought in from Tampa. He's never played first base, so he might be the starter. And then you have Hicks and you have Conine. Also, he hasn't played that much first base. So that might be a hole, especially defensively for them, but the team is pretty well set up. You need Ramirez to play better defense. He's going to be playing quite a bit unless you use him a lot as a DH. So the team can be competitive. So let's see how well they do in 2026. We got surprised in 2025. They were close to the wild card. So hopefully they can do something similar this season. So that's what we're looking for. And if you're looking for tires, Tyler, Balado Tires with two locations, Southwest 27th Avenue and 16th Street, and also Southwest 8th Street and 67th Avenue. They got great prices. They have also brake service, and they have the personal service, very important, that you love to have. So if you're looking for tires in South Florida, the place to go is Balado Tires, right?
yeah. Yes, I completely
You
agree.
agree?
Yeah, of
Oh
course.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. If you don't agree, you're gonna be in trouble, Tyler,
That
because
would,
they
yeah,
might kick you out. They might
yeah.
kick you out of the podcast.
You'd get a new
Uh,
co-host, a new producer,
yeah, well,
everything.
I'll get a nephew instead of a nieto. I'll get a nephew or a cousin, and there will be Abuelo and the cousin, and
You're
you
gonna
you
you're gonna
want to
host
avoid
it.
that.
You're gonna host it with Raymond, and you're gonna talk about the Gators.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
instead of making $5,000 a month like you're making now, you'll be you'll be you'll be unemployed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how you gonna get those $5,000 back?
I'll
It
have to
gets
figure it out.
complicated.
Yeah.
It gets
I'll have to,
extremely complicated. So I want you to avoid that, Tyler. Please
yeah.
behave, so you won't have any problems in the future. But we got to talk about another local team, right, Tyler?
Yes, we're talking about Inter Miami, who won their first ever MLS Cup last year, and you're telling me off camera, before the podcast, that you think they might be better this year, heading into this year, than they were last year, actually.
Well, you look at the guys they have, Tyler, and they definitely have the possibility. They're younger. They got younger, which is smart because they were kind of old. You cannot expect the players to perform at that level when they're kind of old. And you got Busquets and Alba that you got rid of. They retire basically, and those are major losses as far as experience is concerned. And also Alba, he was still playing at a very high level, and he helps you a lot, especially offensively. He helps Messi with those crosses from the left side. He helped Messi a lot. So that's maybe one question that you have. They have Reguilon that they brought, a guy that's got a lot of experience, much younger. He's maybe not as good offensively, but he can play better defense coming from the left side. Uh, they got Reguilon, and of course, important, keeping Tadeo Allende, and they brought Barterame, another Argentinian from the Mexican League from Monterrey, a very good scorer. So he'll play there in the front line with Messi. And I think that they have a chance of being better offensively. They have a Brazilian that they got also uh, on defense as center back. So defensively, they might be even a little better also. And then the question in the midfield with Busquets, the experience with Busquets. They got Alba, a young guy from Portland that it should make a difference there. He's not the same player. He doesn't have the same size. He doesn't have the same experience. Uh, Busquets was really like a captain for the team. So I think they do have a better shot of they have a shot of being better definitely than last season, and they would need it because everybody's always heading for them. They want to win versus Inter. They want to win over Messi. So they have to try to improve. They're going back. They will be getting to their new stadium, 25,000 seat stadium close to the airport in April. But they'll be playing away. Basically all their games at the beginning of the season. So that's going to be tough. See how they overcome that, and they'll start the season this weekend playing away LAFC, and this is going to be one of the best things in the league. So in the first few games, away games, tough games. Let's see how they react. But I think that it's going to be another very good season for Inter Miami. At the same time, since you have Messi, you have Rodrigo De Paul in your team, it's going to be good for the league. Having Messi is very important for the league.
Well,
But we have something that I always look forward to, Tyler, is recognizing Miami athletes, legends, young athletes, and you're in charge of that. You're doing a great job with that. And what do you have for us?
we're gonna be looking at Raja Bell, who played in the NBA for over 10 years as a shooting guard. Was a great defender. Actually, is like we said, from Miami, recognizing these local guys. Attended FIU, was an all-conference player for 2 years over there, and ended up having just a pretty solid career. Was a great perimeter defender in the NBA. Started his career with the Philadelphia 76ers and was on that, Allen Iverson '01 team, helped them reach the finals that year. And, was probably their top perimeter defender that year. Went on to the Phoenix Suns and was on those teams with Phoenix, with Steve Nash, Jason Richardson, Boris Diaw, and, helped them reach the Western Conference Finals as well. Hosts a podcast himself now on the Ringer Network, and his son Diabel is a five-star recruit. Was played quarterback at Texas, played high school ball at American Heritage.
Yeah, and Bell, I believe didn't he go to FIU?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he went to FIU,
he
so
said
he's
that.
one of the major stars that have come out of FIU, especially in basketball. And what you mentioned, tremendous, tremendous defensive player. Tyler, we're getting to the end of Abuelo and the Nieto. We have a sports trivia still coming up, but very important. If you're looking for tires in Miami, Tyler, the place to go is Balado Tires with two locations, Northwest 27th Avenue and 16th Street. And the people from the Southwest setup in that Westchester, Kendall area, they have Southwest 8th Street and 67th Avenue. Very competitive with their prices. That is Balado Tires. But what do you have for us today in my sports trivia, Tyler?
Yes. Who is the Miami Marlin? Well, actually, just franchise leader, Marlins in general. He's the leader in both of these statistics in hits and stolen bases.
Hits and stolen bases. I think I have it this time, Tyler. Luis Castillo.
Correct. Yes.
There you go, Tyler.
Yes.
All right. I'm doing better, Tyler. That is good. I think I got it last week and I got it this week also. So the Abuelo is improving a little bit. Now, this one, Tyler, for you is a little more difficult. We're talking also Marlins. So let's see how you do here. Uh, is maybe not one of the obvious guys. So let's see if he had a fairly long career with the Marlins, taking into consideration that a lot of the players don't have a long career with the Marlins. Which Marlins starting pitcher has the best ERA in a career with the team?
Ricky Nolasco.
No, no, no.
Anibal
It's a guy.
Sanchez.
It's a guy who's a better pitcher than Nolasco. With respect to Nolasco. uh,
Um, Best ERA with the Marlins.
a very tall guy, very big guy.
Oh, Josh Johnson.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
Tyler. I thought you were not going to get it because I thought you were going to go with, Beckett, one of those guys. But he didn't have that long of a career with, Fernandez. He didn't have that long of a career with the Marlins. But yeah, Josh Johnson, Tyler, 3.15 over 898 innings from 2005 to 2012. The one that had the record for, I think, is 1.18. I'm trying to remember. I'm not absolutely sure, but I think that's what it is. Is Kevin Brown, the one that has the record for a season with the Marlins. We have done it again, Tyler. Abuelo and the Nieto talking Miami sports. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and we talk about everything that has to do with Miami sports. So, arrivederci. Hasta luego.